Hello and welcome to the first episode of probably a lot of the Sword and Shield Deathless Nuzlocke. It's, as the name implies, it's a regular Nuzlocke, but if I if any Pokemon faints, I just reset the entire run. Uh, that's not too terrible though. This game infamously has a very long intro. It's like an hour long. I have a save set up that I will just reset to whenever we die. And it has a score bunny named Ace. It was just a okay. I have different controls on right now. It just has a neutral nature. You can see the IVs were okay. I think they weren't perfect IVs, but attack and speed are the only ones I checked, and they were pretty good. So I decided that this would be the one I roll with. I picked Score Bunny just because it's the strongest. We can consistently get past the first gym every time. I mean, we could probably do that anyway, but it's just nice to have because we probably always get a grass or electric type for Nessa, and water types are just everywhere for Kabu, so we don't need to think about Sobble or Grookey. This save is set up to be right before our first encounter. Also, yeah, I am playing as Cynthia. This is like one of the only mods I could one of the only mods I could find that even worked, and conveniently it goes over the default clothes instead of clothes that are like in the post game like most clothed mods do. So I'll go ahead and get into the first encounter. And I'll talk about what our encounters are because a Sword and Shield Nuzlocke is not really as cut and dry as the first 7 games because there's the whole wild area with like all different types of weather that changes the encounter tables, and there's like 30 different encounter tables available before the first gym. And just to make it simple, okay, we got a Squovit, that's nice. Just to make it simple, I decided no wild area encounters at all. It's just that's the easiest way of going about it. I'm pretty sure. I think the first capture is guaranteed. It doesn't really matter because they're all like level 2. Ooh, I don't know what I'm gonna name this thing. Normally, in my like testing for this, I normally do all One Piece names, but oh, you know what? I got it. York, because it eats a lot. That's it. Um, so the okay, let me go over the rules quick. On top of you saw when I got the Squovit that I didn't pick one of these like Pokemon that appear in the overworld because you can't pick your Pokemon in a Nuzlocke. You're just supposed to use random encounter tables. So I just used the random shaking grass encounters that appear on every route, which kind of complicates things in Galar Mine 1 and 2 if you don't want to fish in number 2 because there's no grass in those. It's just overworld encounters. But there is a way to get an encounter there, which we'll get into eventually. I hope I don't have to do it because it genuinely does take like hours. But you can get an encounter that isn't overworld. Uh, I might not talk a lot, or might not talk about anything important, at least during the very early game, just because nothing really happens. Like, even though I already got the save set up to skip the first tutorials. There's still more, but I can't skip the first encounters on each run. So that was the latest I could have the save start. Uh, by the way, I do have that Cynthia mod, but I have no other mods, and certainly nothing that would affect the gameplay. Like, all the encounters are the same. This isn't a ROM hack or anything, it's just a character model. And yeah, I have done a lot. I mean, I call it testing, but it was really, I was just playing this Nuzlocke before I decided to record it. Um, the furthest I've gotten is I wiped out at Gordy's gym, which is number 6. So, and I've done like 10 runs. So that it's pretty hard, I think. But luckily all of this has like let me really memorize pretty much everything that happened, at least in the early sections of the game. Pretty much every trainer's Pokemon. And I have like a good idea of the encounter tables, partially from gameplay, partially from looking at Cerebi so much to like study everything. Because you, like before you do really any required trainer battle, you should probably check what their team is on Cerebi. You can Cerebi doesn't have articles for each trainer, but it does have them for the area, and then that lists the trainers. So first of all, I accidentally got the Pokemon Center tutorial. Yeah, so if I want to check like the required trainers on Route 1, you really don't need, not Route 1, there's none on Route 1. Route 2, I mean, you really don't need to because they're easy, but you would just look for the Route 2 article, and then there's a list of trainers on there somewhere. And they're almost always in order. Like, the first trainer that's required on this route would be the first one on the article, so you can kind of figure out who's who from that. Or you can use these videos, because I obviously will fight every required trainer. That's what required means. We're about to get our second encounter. Luckily, we don't have to watch the catching tutorial because we already caught something, which is very surprising coming from this game, which forces everything down your throat, tutorial-wise. Squovit is pretty bad. Normal types are generally just pretty bad because you kind of rely on super effective moves, which normal types have none, so we're looking for something better. This is better, I guess. It is really good at like level 38, but it doesn't guarantee us to get there. Does that evolve at level 38? Let me check. That would be crazy if I'm right, because I never use Corviknight. Why did I call... I mixed it up with Skarmory, because it's the same type, very similar Pokemon. Let's see. Evolves... Oh my god, level 38. That's crazy. See, this is what I told you. I have a very good memory of this game. Which I think is probably the only way I'm ever gonna make it past, like, the third gym. Bird. Male bird character. The Flamingo. Typing takes forever, but there's really no way around it. Now we're coming up to the first trainer on the route, which has a Squovit, which is easy. This is also the first battle of the run, besides those wild encounters, but I didn't... No Pokemon ever made a move just because I caught them immediately. Let me think of some other rules to go over. Oh yeah, I want to make this as accurate as possible to what any person with the game could do. So no trade evolutions, no connecting with any other game is allowed. So if I get a Roggenrola or Girder, is Girder even in this game? I don't know. I can't evolve those to their final evolutions at least, just because not everyone can do that, because a lot of people aren't really playing this game anymore, and you need 2 switches to do that, and that's kind of unfair. No DLC, I think. I might, you know, I'll catch the Galarian Slowpoke in the Wedgehurst Station just to get rid of that message at every Pokemon Center, but I will immediately put that Slowpoke in our dead Pokemon box, so then we won't like have to see that message anymore, but I'm not using DLC stuff. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, that Slowpoke isn't DLC, that was just a free update, so I guess I could use that. But I don't even want to, because there's no way to evolve it without the DLC, and it's weak. So it'll just take up space in our alive box then. Hold on. Lip Bug into Nickit is what this trainer has. I'm gonna try and do that with every trainer. There will be a very obvious difference from like the first 3 gyms to anything after, because I do not make it far very often, so I don't remember what those trainers have. I was correct, by the way. And I will also... This will kind of double as just a guide to pretty much everything in this game, because I would like to think that I know item locations. There's probably a lot of stuff that I don't know, but I know a lot of item locations that probably not a lot of people do. Like, there's a very useful one coming up right after this trainer battle. Or, not right after, because there's some more dialogue. I couldn't find an instant text mod when I was searching for that, because I knew all the text was going to be annoying. But there's no such mod. Okay. This is still Route 2, so I can't get any Pokemon here, but there is an item here. It's a repel, we don't even want it. I have nothing to say, it's just more dialogue. The game, it really does pick up, like, by the time you get out of the wild area and going to Turffield, then the game gets really fast. In fact, there's really not a lot between the gyms in this game. Rarely ever is there anything. You just kind of do a gym, then you walk to the next gym, then you do that gym, then you walk to the next gym. There's occasionally a required fight along the way that's not even a guarantee. And of course some encounters. But there's a lot of prep that's going to go into each gym, because believe it or not, it does take a lot of work to beat a Pokemon game without any Pokemon fainting. Here is the item, by the way. Behind Professor Magnolia's house is a TM for Payback, which isn't great, but it's actually really good at this point in the game. It's 50 base power Dark Move, 100 base power if your Pokemon is bad. So it's kind of a comeback mechanic. And there's really no point in collecting it, because you're never going to have an issue catching Pokemon, but there's a Great Ball over here. And then a fresh water bottle in this flower pot. Are my Pokemon healed? Yes. Now we fight Willow. Another funny thing about picking Scorbunny is that Hop will have Wooloo/Double in most of his fights. And Wooloo, I don't know if Hop's Wooloo always has this ability, but Wooloo can have an ability called Fluffy, which makes it take half damage from all physical moves, which is really good, but it takes double damage from fire moves, which we have. So that's just, we get an extra advantage against him, on top of him already picking the starter that's weak to ours. Just add that on to the countless reasons to pick Scorbunny. Okay, that doesn't seem like double damage, so I'm pretty sure it only has that half the time, because Wooloo can have 2 different abilities, and Cerebi doesn't list an ability, even though it lists all the moves, which makes me think that Pokemon don't have consistent abilities. But I'm not confident on that one. You would have to ask someone who knows a lot about the game. And I've never met someone who cares that much about Sword and Shield. he also has a Rookity on top of these two Pokemon. And there goes Grookey. Also, another thing about a Nuzlocke that most people know, I don't know why I said that like that. You only get one encounter per route, so we got that Squovit on Route 1, then nothing else, and the Rookity on Route 2, then nothing else. There's some situations where a route is only one route, but it's also multiple routes, which sounds kind of stupid. But Route 2 here is a pretty good example because after the 6th gym, you get the ability to ride your bike on water. And Route 2 kind of has a second section. That was a really lucky early kill. Route 2 has a second section that's only really available after you do that with completely different Pokemon in it. And so I would consider that a different encounter. I think after we get the water bike, we can go over to the second half of Route 2 because that's a very different area. But Route 3 has sections with normal Pokemon. It has like Pancham, Machop, a lot like Gossifleur, a lot of random Pokemon that I feel like they just couldn't fit anywhere else. And then the kind of last half of it has a spot that is like 100. It's 99% Roggenrola and 1% Sizzlipede, which is kind of funny. And that kind of prepares you for Galar Mine 1 because it's right before that, and that area has Roggenrola in it. I don't think that's a different area, though, because visually, like, it looks like the exact same route, and the encounters aren't super different. Like, I don't know, it doesn't seem different enough to me compared to other areas of the game, like Route 8, which it's before the 6th gym, which because that gym is different in Sword and Shield. Sword has the Rock Gym and Shield has the Ice Gym. The route is also kind of split in half. There's a kind of rock area and a kind of ice area, and those are completely different. The second half even gets a different name. It's called Route 8 Steamdrift Way. I'm gonna alternate between route and route, by the way. I never really figured out which is which. And I feel like those two areas are substantially different, and I'm gonna pick two encounters there, one in the first half and one in the second half. And then also gift Pokemon are allowed, obviously your starter. Not the Pikachu and Eevee that you get for having Let's Go save data, because like I said earlier, that's kind of unfair to people that don't have Let's Go save data. So, but there's like the Toxel on Route 5. I can't think of any other ones. I don't know that there are really many other ones. But those Pokemon are fine. Oh yeah, I'm also doing a level cap thing, kind of. I know the highest level Pokemon of each gym leader, and I'm not allowed to go past that level before starting their gym challenge. So, for example, Milo, the first gym leader, his highest Pokemon is level 20. And so I'm not allowed to hit level 21 before I enter his gym. And if I accidentally do, I just have to go straight to his gym, like just fly there, and then immediately start the gym challenge. And if somehow I've hit level 21 before I'm able to immediately go to his gym challenge, then I have just ignored the rules, because that's pretty difficult to do. Now we just walk all the way back through this route. By the way, there's an optional trainer right here. She has a Choodle, this water type right here that I'm next to. We have no good way of killing it, and also we just don't want to because there's really no reason to. It's just kind of an unnecessary risk. And at least I do, ignore pretty much every optional trainer. There's, I mean, at least I try to, because a lot of them look around and stuff, and you might accidentally run into them if you aren't perfect at the game. By the way, that revive, now that I think about it, I've like just now figured out how this works. That kind of doesn't appear until after you do all the stuff down there. Like on the way here, I don't think that revive was there. And also another thing I'm noticing is there's an item right there. I don't think I've ever gone there. Like, ever. I have no idea what that item is. That's weird. I'll try to remember to do that once we get to after the 6th gym. Because I really want to know what that is. Once we get down to the station here, Hop will give us flack for not catching any Pokemon on the way back, even though we're not allowed to. But no matter, he has different dialogue for if you catch the same amount of Pokemon as him, more than him, or less than him. He'll have different dialogue, but he will always give you the TM for Swift. Yep, caught no Pokemon. He's gonna regret those words once I beat his team without losing a single Pokemon, like 9 different times. And now do the wild area. There's raids in the wild area. So here's the thing. Losing a Pokemon is kind of vague somehow. When you lose a raid, even though your Pokemon's HP went to 0 in that raid, once the raid ends, your Pokemon's HP is at 1. And also, raids are kind of bullshit. So I think it's fair to say that if you lose a raid, that doesn't count as losing your Pokemon. But also, I'm not going to throw myself at a raid a billion different times until I win, because that just kind of defeats the point. So I'll be reasonable about it, but I don't think that counts as losing a Pokemon. And now in the wild area. These are the two that give you Pikachu and Eevee if you really want them. I don't though. I do have Let's Go Pikachu, just not the save file on this specific Switch account. And normally, honestly, a surprising amount of the time, I get a C-Dot in Route 1 or Route 2. I think it can appear in both. And that adds like an hour and a half to the wild area trying to find a Leaf Stone to evolve that into Shiftry. But luckily, we didn't get any stone evolutions, so I don't have to deal with that. But you can get every evolution stone here before the 3rd route, which is really insane. That's something that no other Scarlet and Violet does, obviously, because it's even more open world than this. But no other Pokemon game really does something like that. Just the wild area gives us a ton of options for team building. We get every evolution stone, we get tons of items, tons of berries. Not Pokemon, because I'm not allowed to catch Pokemon here, but there's like 300 different Pokemon that I can catch right now if I wanted to. We don't have the bike yet, so this takes forever. And also, I won't do the raids yet, because I don't have any reason to, and they do take a long time. But I think I'll at least go and collect the watts that come from these raids, just because you do kind of want them when it comes down to like getting items, because these watts are how you get all the items I'm talking about, the evolution stones, the held items like hardstone, soft sand, all that kind of stuff. Get those through watts, and these raids give a pretty good amount of watts. And those purple ones usually have better item rewards. And so that's something that we might want to look into once we are very low on options. Oh yeah, the thing I forgot to mention, I know I was forgetting something. I think the biggest thing that the wild area is going to give us is TRs from these raid battles. TRs are just one-time use TMs, but they give you endgame moves. Like, the strongest moves of every type are available to me right now with no real setup. I just have to find a Pokemon. Like, we'll see what type this Pokemon is, and I'll make an example. Psychic and Funk type. We can get, I don't know if Natu specifically drops it, but we could possibly get the TR for Psychic right now, which is a 90 base power, no drawback, like the strongest Psychic type move there is, really, right now. Even though our strongest attack at the moment is 40 base power. That's not that button. That's more than double powered, just right now, off the bat. Game tells us about watts through a less annoying way. These random notes are admittedly a lot better than most tutorials in this game. And we made it to Motostoke. Believe it or not, our next encounter is here. And I'm pretty sure it is always Magikarp. There's not a lot of water, there's a pretty good amount of water here. And we can catch a Magikarp. There's no better option. It's not like there's grass here. So we just have to take all that this area has. We get a second Pokemon Center tutorial. Who knows why? This tutorial could have been given maybe when you interact with a Rotami for the first time or something like that, but nope. You just have to get it right now. This trainer will trade a Bunnelby for a Squovit. Under our rules, there's no way to get Bunnelby, so we don't really care, and also we have Squovit. That reminds me of another rule I'm gonna implement. No duplicate encounters, so if I don't remember if this is possible or not. If we got Rookidee on Route 3, we would just run away and find a different Pokemon. Oh, no Magikarp yet. Oops. Yeah, and that just helps the variety, and also there's some Pokemon that are very common, and getting 3 of the same Pokemon is just boring. And it makes this run even more luck-based than it was before. There's this battle cafe here. We can get evolution items for Milcery here, as well as various food-related items. None of them are that good or really worth risking a Pokemon to get. And we have pretty consistent ways of getting those Milcery evolution items later, aka just coming back here when we have a higher level. This guy gives us the high-tech earbuds. The sound settings in this game are locked behind talking to a random NPC on your way to doing something else. Pretty cool. Here we get a kind of good held item. We get charcoal because we picked Score Bunny, and that increases the power of our fire moves by, let's find out how much. Yeah, boost the power of fire type moves by 20%. That's not great, but it's not nothing either, so we take that. And there's really, for a long time, or maybe forever, there's not really anything better to put on our Pokemon. It's not like Pokemon Showdown where we have unlimited Choice Scarf, Choice Band, Life Orb stuff. Those are a lot later in the game, and so we just have to take pretty bad items. There's our first ball guy. He will give us Pokeballs that I'm pretty sure under our current rules we can only ever get once before beating the game. Once you beat the game, there's ways to get more of those Pokeballs, but we only get one of them from ball guy. I'm not going to use any of them just because they're so rare. Who knows? Maybe I'll be forced into using one of them, and that would be pretty inconvenient, but also pretty cool. That's one of our rivals. Surprisingly, at first I thought he was kind of the hardest one, but he's kind of the easiest one. Just because every single time you fight him, all of his Pokemon are slow, and they are all weak to Dark, they're all weak to Bug, they're all weak to Ghost, because he uses Psychic types. And, you know, on top of using Psychic types, they all really only have just the one type. They don't have a second type, and so they all have the same weaknesses. So it's just super easy to just find one move that counters his entire team, and then you're set. He does, at the very end of the game, he switches from Psychic to Fairy, and also has more Pokemon, and so that's a lot harder to deal with. But we'll worry about that when we get there. That's after the 8th gym, so we don't need to think about that. This is going to be our first encounter with Team Yell. They use not just Dark-type Pokemon, but most often Dark and Normal-type Pokemon. Like the Zigzagoon line in this game are Dark and Normal-type. And so they're 4 times weak to Fighting-type moves. You know who learns a Fighting-type move? Yep. Of course, we don't have one yet, but I also kind of want to have it for this. So I'm considering right now if I just pause the recording and do it, or if people might want to see every second of the way. And my solution is just to not go get a fighting type move at all. This is a pretty easy fight, and Ember should just take care of it. Not before, though, we get more dialogue that we're pretty interested in. We get to learn about the hero of Galar, and the sword and the shield. It's all very interesting stuff. The Darkest Day, that's a pretty cool one. Oh, there's unique music for that. I never noticed that. Now we fight Team Yell. This is 3 fights in a row. There's one single fight against this guy, one single fight against the girl behind him, and then a double battle with Hop as our teammate against the other 2. And believe it or not, Hop's Pokemon are not our Pokemon. So even though he's on our team, if Hop's Pokemon faint, that is not a reset. He will just continue. We'll feel bad for him, but we'll continue. As you can see, even without a fighting type move, I can just mash A and beat this Zigzagoon in 3 turns. He's dead. I think our fighting type move Double Kick is at level 12, so very soon, possibly before this double battle that's coming up. Hopefully. Not that we'll need it, but that would be nice. Oh, I should mention another thing that makes this Nuzlocke kind of unique. When most YouTubers do Nuzlocks, or just when most people do Nuzlocks, they play the game on set mode, which means when they beat a Pokemon, the other trainer just sends their Pokemon out immediately. As opposed to the default, which is switch mode, which is when you beat a Pokemon, the game tells you the trainer's about to set out and gives you the option to switch in a Pokemon of your own to counter that. I'm going to use that just because it's different, and also this is a hard enough challenge as it is. It's not the end of the world if I'm using this, because even with it, it's still much harder than a normal Nuzlocke. Also, yeah, we get a heal in between those battles, just in case you were having a tough time somehow. Oh yeah, and I don't know if you thought that they were going to use more than 2 Pokemon, but they're not. They just will repeat the same Pokemon over and over, even though there's way more Dark types in the Galar region than the ones they use. Our special attack drops. I don't think it's enough yet to switch to physical moves because our fire type move is stronger because we are a fire type. So even though our special attack was lowered, our special fire move is still stronger than our physical normal moves, I think. If it happens again though, I'll switch to tackle. This fight would go by a couple turns faster if Hop would use a move that isn't stupid. Defense curl. He's also trying to not get his Pokemon knocked out. I can't blame him for that. He's doing the same thing that we are. Okay, that's it. Yep, there's double kick, level 12. Someone's gonna see that and wonder why I didn't get rid of Growl. That's because Tackle and Quick Attack are the same move, but one is just objectively better. And so I got rid of the worst one, because there could possibly maybe be a situation where you use Growl, but there is absolutely zero situation where you want to use Tackle over Quick Attack. Realistically, you don't want to use either of them because they're bad, but, you know. Here we see the one and only named trainer of Team Yell. And she's not even part of Team Yell. Remember Team Aqua, who had like the leader and then 3 different captains and then, some other named trainers at some point in the game, I'm pretty sure. That's interesting. I forgot to sleep. That's pretty important. Don't forget to sleep. You should always sleep. Alright, we don't get to go to Route 3 yet. We get to go watch a cutscene, open quotes, over at Motorstoke Stadium. I say quotes because I just have the cutscenes turned off, and so nothing actually happens. We'll just go in, we'll walk into the stadium, and then we will immediately walk out of the stadium. Awesome. Oh, I wonder how this works with my Cynthia mod. I hope this doesn't look terrible. That's not bad. Okay, we don't get to see the uniform number. That number, by the way, is the Pokédex number of Klefki, which is my favorite Pokemon. We won't see it in this run. It's in this game on the Isle of Armor, but we won't see it in this run because we're not using DLC. Unfortunate, but there's a lot of good Pokemon in Base Galar, so nothing to worry about. The gym's having a set order. Interesting. Yeah, Scarlet Violet, the newest one, is really weird in that it doesn't do that. There's 8 gyms and also 10 other things that are pretty much gyms, even though they're not really gyms. So 18 in total things to do, and you can just do them in any order you want. And also, that game doesn't have any random encounters, so you have to just pick a Pokemon from the overworld. So doing a Nuzlocke essentially just can't be done in that game. There's just no way to do a Nuzlocke. Because you don't even know what a route is. There's no routes or anything. There's no encounter tables. There's nothing. You can fight Hop now. I'm pretty sure he has the exact same team that he just had when we fought him like 10-20 minutes ago. So that's pretty cool. Wooloo will now go down much faster because we have a fighting type move. Much faster. Even though I've mentioned a couple times that Squova is pretty useless, but Rookity is pretty good. It will give us a Dark type move, and we will use that probably to wipe Bead's team, like I mentioned earlier, how all his Pokemon are weak to Dark. We'll just use that to beat his team. You're pretty much guaranteed up to when you fight him, which is in Galar Mine. You're pretty much guaranteed something that can wipe his team. It would be impressive to not get any Pokemon that can learn a Dark, Ghost, or Psychic. Not Psychic. Dark Ghost or Bug move up to that point. And so he's not something that we ever have to worry about. I don't know how much HP I'm at. I'll be fine. Yeah, we're good. Hawk might be delusional. He thinks he's gonna win this. I know. Let me check what our physical attack looks like compared to our special attack. Okay. Yeah, our physical attack is much better. I don't remember when exactly we learned Flame Charge. I think it's level 15, maybe-ish. Which is a physical fire move, and that is going to make Score Bunny much, much better. Ah, we're gonna die. There's another Hawk fight, and like I said, it was the exact same team that we just fought him with. Not sure why this needed to be included. I promise I'm not gonna shit on this game the entire playthrough, but at the very beginning of the game, there's just some things that can't really be ignored. He doesn't heal our Pokemon this time because he's kind of an asshole. So we'll go do that ourselves. Oh, another thing I want to ban, again for the same reasons as making it fair and actually enjoyable, no daily events. Like doing the Rotom lot. Not that we would ever get anything good from the Rotom lottery without trading. No Rotom lottery, no daily auction in Still On Side. There's like an auction here with items, but there's other ways to get those items, I think. Actually, that's not true. That's actually the only place you can get certain items consistently. But whatever. I'm coming here to Wedgehurst because of what the Pokemon trainer lady just said. There's a Slowpoke here that we can get. And the reason we catch the Slowpoke is so she shuts up about it. Because I don't want to hear about it every single time I heal out of Pokemon Center. It serves no use to us. It can't evolve without going to DLC areas. And you have to catch it. You can't knock it out. If you knock it out, it will just restart the battle until you catch it. Yeah. I'm pretty sure this is available if you don't have the DLC. I think this was just a free update made to promote the DLC. So, we're fine. This thing is not water type, I think, and so we can use Ace against it and use fire moves. Okay, it's not great. But we just have to get it down to, I think, below 50 HP, and then a Pokeball should catch it. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a guaranteed catch. Maybe you can just throw a Pokeball at it, but I don't know. I don't think I ever tried. Slowpoke. We'll keep it in our party for now until we need to replace it, just because we still have open space. Fury attack. It's not good, but we'll take it. Let me think. Honestly, I got nothing right now. If someone wants to give me an idea, I might go back and rename it later, but it's not like we're ever going to send it out in a battle, and I just want to get a move on. Okay. Now we can go back to where we just were and go get a Pokemon on Route 3. I really want to make sure I don't get knocked out by a wild Pokemon, because that's kind of embarrassing. Like I said earlier, this is a pretty varied route. There's a lot of different Pokemon here. The ones that come to mind, like I said earlier, I mean, Vulpix, because I'm literally seeing it right now. There's Pancham, Machop, Gossifleur are all here. Also, the thing that qualifies as a random encounter is when an exclamation point appears on the screen, and you did not see the Pokemon in the overworld. We got Machop. That's pretty good. Is it? I don't know. Pretty okay. Oh yeah, we can't evolve it into Machamp without trading. Okay. Maybe it's not pretty good, but also we might need a fighting type at some point. And we, at that point, which is probably Spike Myth, the Dark type gym, if we somehow do not get any other fighting types up to that point, then we'll use Machoke. But that's not going to happen. There's a pretty good amount of fighting types. Nickname. Hmm. Oh, it has 4 arms. Robin. Or it will have 4 arms. Let's go. I would rather use that nickname on a Pokemon that I care about, because that's a character that I care about. But I had nothing else to name it. Takes a lot of work to avoid these trainers. Hold on, let me see what this kid does. I don't think I've ever fought him. And he turns out. Okay, that's free. Nice. Then Sonia here replaces a Corvisquire encounter. Like, whenever you come back here later, there's a Corvisquire in this exact spot, and Sonia replaces it. Also, this cutscene kind of implies that you go to that building and like actually interact with this whole Chairman Rose subplot that happens through this whole game. But no, you actually never interact with it. In fact, every character in this game tells you to just ignore it, even though they keep showing it to you. It's kind of baffling. Anyway, here's the area with all the roly-poly that I mentioned earlier. We don't really want it. Even if it was allowed, we already have a 5 type and there's not a ton of use for a rock type. Sizzlipede, which has a fire immunity, into Dottler, and so we want a flying type for that. Do you have any flying type moves? You have Peck. That's fine. I don't know. It's not like I can reset, but I'm just I like to save often, so I'll go ahead and do that. His shirt kind of implies what Pokemon he has, even though I'm sure that wasn't intentional. Okay, that's not good, but we have nothing else. Oh my god. Wait, we're screwed. That's kind of absurd. Luckily, I mentioned that we have the switch mode on, and so it tells me that he's about to send out Dottler. I was right again, by the way. And so I can switch to Scorbunny. If you think that makes it too easy, go play it yourself. Tell me how much success you have doing this challenge on set mode. Dottler is very strong defensively, so even with super effective moves, this is still going to take a lot of turns. It evolves very late. I think it evolves into Orbeetle also at level 38, maybe it was 34, which for an early game bug type, okay, level 30, which is lower than both the things I said, that's still a very high level, especially compared to like the early bug types in Kanto, which hit their final forms at level 10. You know, things could be better over here. I hope it doesn't kill me right now. Okay, we're good. Yeah, to be honest, that fight was kind of close. That's because normally when I do this run, I go ahead and just do a bunch of raids in the wild area and get some XP. And so I have more going on at this point. Just to get through this faster, I kind of skipped all that, and I'm fine. So I'll probably skip it again in the future. But one thing I don't want to skip is I really want to have Corvisquire when I fight Bede at the end of this mine here. And I think that is level 17. I accidentally did that twice. Level 18, it evolves Rookity into Corvisquire. And so now we're gonna do some raids. Just 3 should be fine, I think. We'll find another note when we go near this Onyx. I don't remember what it's about. Oh yeah, large Pokemon. That makes sense, because it's near the Onyx, which is pretty large. And it tells you to cook at a camp. We might cook at a camp. I'm gonna avoid that one because we don't have a super effective move against that. You know, I might... Oh, never mind. I was gonna take back what I said earlier about Pokemon fainting in raids not counting. And then I decided not to. We're going over to this purple den over here because it has better rewards, and it looks like it's on the other... Yeah, it's on the other side of this cliff, which means it will be... I think it's just grass-type Pokemon in these raids over here. And I'm gonna go out on a limb. This is kind of a crazy prediction. This is Seedot. I'm not putting the house on that one, but I see a lot of C-Dot over here when I go to do raids, so this might be C-Dot. I'm goated. Okay. We'll switch to our fire type to make this raid go by faster. That's kind of insane. Our Pokemon are much stronger in raids because moves get way stronger and we get more health, so this should not be an issue for us, especially because C-Dot is so weak. Even with move animations disabled, which by the way, I have move animations disabled, so if you're looking for a cinematic experience, I'm sorry about that one. It just saves a lot of time. Even with move animations disabled, raids are still pretty long. That's no fault of the game, really. I can't think of any way you could make this go by any faster. It's just, by design, slightly longer than a normal wild encounter. It's mainly the Dynamax animation of like putting my score bunny into the ball and then throwing it behind me, make it bigger. That's like half the battle. What do we get? Okay, that's a pretty good amount of XP. And Shadow Ball, or Energy Ball, 90 base power grass move. If we had a grass type Pokemon, that's pretty crazy, but we don't. Okay, let's give some of this to Corvusquire. I don't want to give it too much because, of course, I don't want it to go past the level cap. I'll stop at 16. Okay, and we get a better flying move at this point, so that was pretty good. I think we'll make it to 18 by the time we're fighting Bead, and if we don't, we have some more candies. Then I'll give one to Ace, just because it's our starter. Oh yeah, it evolves! Right. It is now a lot stronger. Also, at this point, I'm gonna check the nature of my Pokemon because I haven't done that yet. Oh, this much out of Focus Band. Focus Band isn't that useful. It's just actually that's pretty pretty useful in this run, but not better than any other item. It's a 10% chance to survive a hit that would kill you. I don't really want to stake the run on a 10% chance, so I'm gonna go with an item that actually increases my damage. But it's cool that we got that for free. Our bird's speed is pretty high. And look, the way I'm planning to fight Bead is to use one Hone Claws to give us 2 stat boosts, which makes Power Trip stronger. One Home Claws will make Power Chip a base 60 attack instead of base 20. And then with the attack boost from this, that's kind of like 90. And then it's super effective, so that's kind of 180. And, you know, it's a pretty good setup. I just wanted to make sure that we're fast enough to never get hit, which I think we are. So, we'll be fine. Honestly, we might not even need to get we will get Corvusquire before the Bead fight, but we might not need to. Oh yeah, there's another tunnel over there leading to this building. that also kind of implies that you're gonna go over there. No such luck. Trubbish. That's pretty rare. Actually, you know what? I think that's the 1%. It's not Sizzlipede, I'm pretty sure it's Trubbish. Mine. As you can see, and as I mentioned before, no grass, which means no encounter for us. Yet. It's not safe to run along train tracks, by the way. Woobat? No. Diglett and Drober. Which means we want none of these. I don't know what we're gonna do. Probably Doflamingo. Just because it is immune to ground type attacks. Even though it's standing on the ground. Let me show off the strategy that we're going to do. We use one Hone Claws to increase our attack, and then Power Trip is now much stronger. If you want the specifics, Power Trip, oh my god. Power Trip gets 20 attack, 20 base power for each stat boost that you have. And those stat boosts are these red arrows. And Hone Claws gives you 2, and so I get 2 stat boosts, which is equivalent to 40 base power. And it starts with 20, so that's a total of 60. That's how I got that number. Okay. Okay, we're gonna die, so let's switch. Let me look at what it has. If it has a ground move, I don't want to switch into Scorbunny. Raboot. It's not Scorbunny anymore. You have Scratch and Rapid Spin. What a moron. That means we win the fight. I don't think I've ever fought this trainer before. There's a trainer in Galar Mine that has 3 Timber. They have very slightly different movesets. That's it. Just 3 Timber. Interesting. I didn't use Ember because I'm pretty sure this resists fire. I should be more sure of that. I should know if ground resists fire. I think it does. Okay. And I think that, aside from Bead, I think that's the only required fight here. And also, there's no required fights in between Bead and the gym, so we don't have to worry about level cap stuff. This guy has a single roly-coly. We're not going to fight him, but he does, in case you were curious. We have no use for a revive. Is he always looking to the side? I feel like he's normally facing forward. Like towards the camera. That's weird. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and evolve Corvus. These 3 should not be too much. Okay, we're gonna fight some wild Pokemon here. Until we hit level 18. What's on the menu for us? We kind of want to get away from this guy. Okay, we're fighting Roly-Coly. Also, if at some point in the future, so I mentioned that Route 3 has two parts, and I only got an encounter on the first half, and I didn't allow myself to get an encounter on the second half. If I wanted to, I could switch that around and pretty much guarantee myself a roly-poly. I just don't want to do that. But for routes that have multiple encounter tables, but I'm only giving myself one encounter, that is an option. And this is a far more common thing. Fishing is one of those things that's a separate encounter table, but not a separate Pokemon that we can catch. And so on pretty much every route, we'll have the option to fish or not fish. And now that I mentioned fishing, I just remembered that the Magikarp that I was gonna catch in Nuzlocke. So I think I'll do that after the bead fight, just because we really don't need to do it now. Well, no, at 18 yet. Here's Timber. It is not very often that I grind XP by fighting random Pokemon. I usually just always have enough XP candies because I do a ton of raids. Because, you know, that just has better rewards. That would give us TRs and berries and XP candy and stuff. I'm just doing it this way because I'm already here. This just seems more convenient. Yeah, I'll fight you. Yeah, this might be the only time you see me grind XP in the traditional way of just fighting random wild Pokemon. So I should do it more because, you know, there's the chance of a shiny. That brings me into another rule. Most holy fuck. That's kind of scary. Most Nuzlocke have a rule where if they find a shiny Pokemon, they're allowed to catch it and use it. If I find a shiny Pokemon, I'm allowed to catch it and transfer it into home to put on my main save file. I'm not going to use it because that would be a bad idea. That would turn every run into just shiny hunting to get an encounter that we need instead of actually having the encounters that we need. No, but what I'm trying to say is that it would give you unlimited Pokemon if you have enough patience. And I don't, so that's not allowed. That's a 2-hit move, by the way, that only hit once. Is that enough yet? No. This is going by very slowly. I might end the video after the beat fight. Even super effective moves at the level we're at just don't really matter to us. 2 super effective moves and we're not even at half health. That's not the right one. the way, I was wrong about Flame Charge. I thought I mentioned that we would get Flame Charge at about level 15, and we're at 18 and we still haven't gotten it. So I really have no idea when you're supposed to get that. Okay. Another rule that I still have not mentioned. I can use items in wild battles. I cannot use items in any trainer battle. If somehow that's confusing, the difference is whether or not I can run away. If I can run away from a fight, I'm allowed to use items during it. I should have just done another raid. We would already have Grover's Fire like 5 minutes ago. But that's no fun. Okay. I think we'll fight this Rollick only, and then the Timber after it, that should be enough to evolve. Hopefully. Actually, you know what? Okay. It's still not enough. We just need like one more Timber, and that should be fine. I think I'll end the video after fighting Milo. Okay, can I reset these Pokemon, please? Woobat. That'll work, I think. There we go. I think our physical defense IV on this Rookity is really bad. I don't know what the exact stats are supposed to look like, but I feel like we've been taking a lot more than I usually do, and we just got 0 physical defense from that level up. So that seems pretty bad. Okay, we're prepared for the beat fight. This answers my question. Now he looks forward after we step into this gate. It's really good music. And all the runs I've done, like practicing for this or just doing them in my free time, I don't think I've had music on for almost any of them. Well, I know the Solosis has exactly 36 HP. Good to know. that's not a consistent thing between runs. Pokemon are pretty random, even when they're owned by trainers, in between different save files. So that information is not going to help me. Knock off. That's a really good move. That was effortless, like all the bead fights will be. Flame charge. Okay, 19. I'll remember that. It's just in time for the first gym. Get another encounter here. I think it's majority of the time this is Galarian Meowth, but again this has a pretty wide variety of things it can be, including a 1% EV, which would be very strong because that's essentially a choice of 8 different Pokemon. But no, like I said, we got Meowth, which is fun. I'll use Pluck. We don't want to kill it. Wow, that's really good. Okay, that was a crit. That makes sense. So that means we're safe to do one more. This is a pretty good encounter, even though it's the most common. Steel beats a lot of different trainers, a lot of different gyms. Or maybe it seems that way because it kind of completely counters the 5th and 6th gyms, and 2 in a row is pretty impressive. What we have here. Also, because of the amount of runs I've done, I kind of have names pre-ready. Shit. I don't know what this guy has. Probably Pikachu, if I had to guess. No way. I normally avoid him, but I just got kind of confused here. We kind of need to use Home Claws before— oh shit. Okay, we're fine. We kind of need to use Home Claws before using Power Chip, because otherwise it is pretty useless. The reason we're not taking a lot of damage from that move, even though it's pretty scary, is because Electro Ball does more damage based on how much faster you are than your opponent. But because the Pikachu is slower than us, it's not faster than us, believe it or not. So it doesn't— Electro Ball won't do that much damage, even if it's super effective. Okay. Let's shake this berry tree. I could use it if for some reason I wanted like a Skwovet or Cherubi or whatever's in this tree. I could use this as my encounter, but there's just no situation in which you want to do that. Okay, I have a flawed understanding of how the trees in this game work. I'm never gonna figure it out. I thought that was safe to shake at that point. I thought it was once it starts shaking fast, you get one more and then you stop, but I guess you get 0 more. Maybe this tree is different from the ones in the wild area. I'm used to wild area trees and this is on a route, so maybe it's different. That's what I'm going with, because I'm pretty sure you do get 1 extra shake once it starts shaking fast. By the way, if you talk to a trainer with a camp, that gives you a fast travel point. So that is why I've done that on Route 3 and here. There's a lot of items here. Actually, let me look at what items are on Route 4 while we go through this cutscene. Also, the encounter table is 30% electric, which I feel like I've actually never... Oh, that's in the overworld. Okay, random in the grass. Okay. Meowth is in first place, then Wooloo, then Milcery, then Joltik, then Cutiefly, then Budew, then Ferroseed. Those last 3, Cutiefly, Budew, and Ferroseed, are, like, combined, they're not even 10%, so you're not going to see them often. I feel I only really get Meowth here, that's the most common one. Still looking for the item list. None of it's really that great. There is... I want to get this just because I never really... Does this guy turn around? Okay, we're good. How does he fight you through a wall? Sharp Beak. Makes flying type moves stronger, so I'll put that on Clover. Yeah, what is this guy's deal? Does he genuinely fight you through a wall? I've never seen a trainer do that. Okay, now we will heal up, and then we can just... Oh, nope, we gotta go do some stuff first. But then we can go straight into the gym and get our first badge. Oh wait, there's a TM here. I should know what that does. It is TM07. Okay, I don't know exactly the name of this move, but it doesn't seem that good. It's a multi-hit, 2 to 5 hit, weak move. And so I'm not super interested in seeing what it is. In every other game, TM7 is Hail. Except Let's Go, but that is different. Yeah, in Let's Go, it looks like it's either Protect or Detect. They're the exact same move. Yeah, looks like it was introduced in Heart Gold Soul Silver and has been in every game since, except for Scarlet Violet. And every single time it has been Hail, except for the 2 games which I mentioned. Actually, it's even... No, I'm sure that's just leftover. Yeah, no, wait, it's in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which is weird because it isn't in Diamond and Pearl. And those are pretty faithful remakes, so I'm surprised that a TM, especially one that important, would be added. Maybe they just changed the number. Anyway, there's a little puzzle here. Seek yourself 3 standing stones with grass before the other ones. Use well that strength, then find the strength of its strength in the end. And then some other stuff. Um, so that's telling you that you have to find a stone that says grass on it. Let's see how good my memory is. And then a stone that says water on it, because that's grass's strength. And then the strength of that strength is fire, because water's strength is fire. Strength is a weird way to refer to that, but I don't know what else I would say. Yeah, that first one was grass. Is this water? Yep. And then I know where fire is. And then there's a bunch of... Every stone here is interactable once you talk to that girl. And like this one I think says dark, there's one that says flying, there's poison, a bunch of stuff here. But this big one is fire. And this is a very good item. It increases the strength of super effective moves by, I want to say 20%. I'm gonna go make sure, but I'm pretty sure it's 20%, which, yes, that's correct. Which is very good considering like items like charcoal, which I got earlier, and its 17 other equivalents, which all increase the power of one type. Those all do it by 20%, but Expert Belt does the exact same increase for essentially every type. It's just, since you're not going to be using moves that aren't super effective, hopefully, you pretty much just get to have a 1.2%, that's not the right word, 1.2 times increase for all your damage. So that's pretty good. And there's a couple more expert belts lying around in the world, I think mainly in the wild area. But this is just a very early way to get one. Of course, the 2 Pokemon that we might use already have items. First of all, let's actually give that charcoal to our Raboot here. I don't know why I pressed boxes. What I meant to do was open the bag again and give him these Dynamax candies. These are rewards for raids that increase the amount of HP you get when you Dynamax. Every Pokemon's default is 0. Actually, a Pokemon that you catch in a raid will have Dynamax levels on it, but will never catch a Pokemon from a raid because that breaks our rules. So every Pokemon starts at 0, and I think you get like 1.2 times HP when you Dynamax when you're at level 0. I'm not sure about that. And at level 10, which is the highest Dynamax level you get after 10 Dynamax candies, you will have double HP when you Dynamax, which is a pretty big difference. And so you want to get to 10 on any Pokemon that you plan on Dynamaxing, especially because it's so easy to get Dynamax candies. This kid here will trade Galarian Meowth for Cantonian Meowth. Why would you want to do that? That's not good. You don't need Cantonian Meowth for the Pokedex. There's no reason. I'm just gonna go straight to the gym mission because it's easy. And we really don't need to prepare for this one at all. It's nice that we get to keep some part of the Cynthia mod when we have to change into the uniform. Actually, there was a mod that makes it so you don't have to change into the uniform, but to be honest, I kind of like the uniform sometimes. Anyway, the Sword and Shield modding community is very productive at specifically putting existing characters over the player characters, like in the form of clothes. Like any Pokemon character that you can think of, there's a mod that lets you play as that character. There's like I saw one for Morty, the Ghost Gym leader from Johto. It was like they got everything. Okay, that's not the obscurest character ever, but it's interesting. Anyway, in this gym we have to chase Wooloo to the end, and then there's Yampers that are in the field, and those Yampers will scare away the Wooloo in ways that are extremely inconvenient, and we'll lose like 2 minutes if a Yamper sees a Wooloo. Gossifleur? I think he just has Gossifleur. That doesn't feel right. I'm not confident in that one. Okay. Well, I don't need to be, because I'm right. To be honest, the gyms in this game, they get substantially less creative. Why is Yamper here? I've never noticed that Yamper goes to the end of the gate once you clear a gate. I've never seen that happen yet. This is a very creative gym idea, and then by the end of the game, they are just multiple battles in a row. You just like fight 3 trainers, and then you fight the gym leader. Like the last one doesn't even have a unique area. They literally just put you in an area that you go to before the 4th gym. It's kind of crazy. Okay. We want to wait for the right Yamper to go up. Like get pretty high into his little hole. And then we'll bring the Wooloo that way. If we pick the left side, the Yamper would be coming towards the Wooloo, and then it would scare them away, and we don't want that. That is the last puzzle, by the way. I'm pretty sure. Yes. Now we get to take a sip of this delicious green water and go fight the first gym leader. Just gotta make sure that we're at full HP and we have the right Pokemon in the lead. There's another Gossifleur, and then his second Pokemon is Eldegoss, which is just the evolved form of Gossifleur. So he essentially just has the same Pokemon twice, and neither of them are very difficult to take down. first gym, while it may have seemed like I was increasing the music to just give you a nice listen to the great music in this game, there was genuinely just nothing to say about that boring ass fight. It's the exact same every single time. It's good to have consistency in a challenge like this, or else it would just be totally impossible. And Nessa might not be that easy because things might change in Route 5, but we don't have a grass or electric attack. So that's kind of something to worry about, because I don't know how we're going to fight Nessa. We might have to do the Corvusquire strat, because that seemed pretty strong when we used it against speed. When we used it against Pokemon that weren't even weak to it, it was still super powerful. So maybe we'll use that if we don't get a grass Pokemon on Route 5. But it has been almost 2 hours, so I'm gonna cut it here. And in the next video, I'll fight Nessa. I'll probably fight Kabu just because there's not a lot of time in between those fights. And if I'm really moving it, I might fight the 4th gen later. I want to get this done in the lowest amount of videos because there's going to be a lot, assuming that this run doesn't immediately make it, which I'd be happy if it immediately made it because I've been working on this run for a while, but that is statistically not likely. You lose Pokemon sometimes, and that's a restart. Okay, I will end it here.